Welcome to the GradWalk program, sponsored by Counseling Research Institute of Kenya. Your presenter in this program is Stephen Kamore. The focus of this program is the power of personal responsibility as a pillar of success. Personal responsibility is a pillar for personal development and success. Personal responsibility, my listener, is defined as a state of being accountable or being in control of one's life. Now, I want us to reflect together about a driver driving a car. The driver is the one who is in control. It is the driver who determines the direction. It is the driver who determines when the car should stop. He is the one who decides when to break down, to slow down. He is the one who determines when to speed up. In other words, we are saying the driver is in full control of the vehicle. And therefore, this is the same with you and I. We should always be in control of our lives. Now, self-responsibility is a concept of modern time. Everyone wants to have somebody who is responsible. But this concept has roots that goes far back to the ancient times. I want us to use a biblical perspective. When God created the world, He created the first human beings with a sense of responsibility. He expected them to be accountable for their lives. Now, and that's why He gave them instructions in the Garden of Eden that they should do everything but even not eat the fruit at the center from the tree that was at the center of the garden. And when they disobeyed Him, He actually inquired from them accountability as an individual. When He called Adam and He asked him, "What have you done?" And Adam, instead of accepting the personal responsibility, started blaming the wife, and the wife did the vice versa. That is why I want to say here that God requires personal responsibility from you and I. The book of Hebrews chapter 14 and verse 12, the Bible records that every one of us then will have to give an account or explanation of ourselves to God. On that judgment day, when we shall all be paraded for judgment, God shall not inquire about your mother, will not inquire about your employer, will not inquire about your children, will inquire what you have done with your life. And that is why we are saying every individual is responsible for the world he or she lives in. Now, this concept and theme is further developed by Apostle Paul when he wrote to the Galatians or the Christians in Galatia, that is in Galatians 6 verse 4 to 5, where he wrote that you should each judge your own conduct. If it is good, then you can be proud of what you yourself have done without having to compare with what someone else has done. For each have our own load to carry. Now, from this scripture, there are two main points I want you to note, my listener, that we are responsible for our conduct. Two, that every one of us has a load to carry. And that's why personal responsibility is a key attribute of our success. Though we live in a community, we succeed as individuals or also fail as individuals. Now, Jesus' Father developed this theme in the Bible in the parable of the talents. And he gives a parable of a master who called his servants. There were 3 of them, and he entrusted them with his properties. The first one he gave 5 talents. The second one he gave 2 talents, and the last one he gave 1 talent. Then he went for a long time, and when he came back, he demanded personal responsibility. He required personal accountability of how these servants had actually taken care of the property or the talents they were all entrusted with. I want to say that the theme of personal responsibility is very broad in the Bible. Paul actually illustrated further in the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 12, where he was actually calling the Colossians to portray personal responsibility. He wrote to them that, "So then, dear friends, as you always obeyed me when I was with you, it is even more important that you obey me now while I am away. Keep on working with fear and trembling to complete your salvation." This is a very high level of personal responsibility. How do you work without supervision? Now, Paul was telling these people, because I was with you and you could obey me, now that I'm away, kindly continue obeying and work with trembling, because it is your personal responsibility to ensure your salvation is complete. Now, that is how we should be able to behave, whether our parents are at home, whether our bosses are in the office, whether you are being supervised or not. Personal responsibility is behaving correctly and doing the right thing because you are in control of the situation. Now, I want to say here that many people frequently ask me during counseling sessions and seminars and workshops that we conduct in churches, in corporate organizations, in schools, this question: how can I know that truly I am not having personal responsibility? Now, I want to give you, or I want to share with you, some insight you can use for self-evaluation. One sign of lack of self-responsibility or personal responsibility is what we call the victim's mentality. This is where you perceive yourself as powerless and you continue indulging in indulging in self-blame. You feel there's nothing you can do about the situations, and therefore you just accept things the way they are. So you feel powerless. That is what we are calling the victim's mentality. Now, the other symptom that will tell you that you don't have personal responsibility is blaming others for your life and situations and circumstances. Now, people, instead of accepting accountability for their life, have a tendency to blame others. Some blame their parents, some blame children, some blame their employers, some blame friends, some blame their pastors, others blame the government. And we have seen some illustrations in the Bible. Instead of Adam accepting the responsibility that he listened to the wife and he ate the fruit, he actually started blaming the wife. We have also seen one of the servants in the parable of the talents, instead of accepting that he was not accountable, he started blaming the master that you like harvesting where you have not planted, and he also told him you like gathering where you have not scattered the seeds. So this blaming others is a good sign of lack of personal responsibility. The other sign is blaming self. Now, you accuse yourself unfairly, admitting guilt for your failures in life. And this can actually make you make what we call long self-appraisal. And it can affect your self-efficacy, your belief in yourself, your ability to execute certain activities in life can be affected by this low self-appraisal. Now, the other a sign that you can tell you that you are lacking personal responsibility is making excuses to justify your failures in life. Every time, instead of asking yourself, what can I do right? What have I done wrong for me to be where I am? You start now making excuses. It is because my money, drained in the bank. It is because the environment was very challenging. The business was very competitive. It is because I had nobody to hold my hand. You can imagine all the kind of excuses that people give. Then lastly, the last sign that is very common for people without personal responsibility is complaining all the time. This complaining actually takes a lot of energy, and that energy should be directed into doing something constructive to add value to your situation, to improve your situation. When you find yourself doing those things, then those are signs that you are lacking personal responsibility. I want to put it here that life is a do-it-yourself project. I love that statement, that life is a do-it-yourself project. One time at the beginning of a year, a friend sent me a statement. He sent this joke that this is New Year and don't expect anyone to come and make your life successful, because life is 100% your responsibility. In other words, what was this friend telling me? How the year is going to be is upon you. It is you to decide whether you are going to be successful or you are going to fail. So life is a do-it-yourself responsibility. Now, and remember, a responsibility comes with power. When you accept personal responsibility, you accept power to change your life, to change yourself, and to change your circumstances. And that is why our focus here is power of self-responsibility. There is power in taking personal responsibility. It is only then, my friend, when you take personal responsibility for your life, that you discover how powerful truly you are. Let me conclude my simple presentation by sharing with you a few things that you can do to ensure you enhance the power of personal responsibility. 1, overcome the victim mentality. Believe in your ability and your potential to do all things. Believe in your power to be in control of your life. Point number 2, avoid self-blame and blaming others. Instead of wasting your mental energy complaining and thinking about what people are saying, what people are doing, about focus your mind on what you can do to become better. And I want to say this, that blaming others actually denies you an opportunity to be accountable for your life. Point number 3, stop complaining and instead focus your energy on things that can add value to your life. Point number 4, let go the need to feel for others, to feel responsible for others. Don't focus so much on others at the expense of yourself. Remember what I've said earlier. How your life is going to be, how it is going to turn out to be, it's about you, not about others. And therefore, don't feel responsible for what they are saying. Don't feel responsible for what they are not doing. Just focus on what is right. Do what is right, and you make your life better, because life is a do-it-yourself project. Then avoid depending on others to feel worthwhile. I want to encourage you, my listener, to learn to boost your self-esteem. Stop comparing yourself with the others. Just to focus on yourself. Have confidence with yourself as an individual. Then lastly, but not the least, take responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions. Remember what is going on, what you feed your mind on is your responsibility. How you want to feel. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to be joyous? Do you want to feel, encouraged and confidence? It's about your choice. What words do you use to describe yourself? All these things contribute greatly in determining your success in life. In conclusion, positive living, my listener, begins when we take personal responsibility for our lives and start seeking God's help to change our ways. Always remember, the price of greatness is responsibility. I want to remind you again, always remember, the price of greatness is personal responsibility. Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go, no one else. Why am I concluding this? It is because life is a do-it-yourself project. You can visit my YouTube account, Stephen Kamores, and access more inspiring information and videos. You can also visit our Facebook account, Counseling Research Institute of Kenya. Like it and follow, and access life transformation articles and videos. God bless you. Embrace the power of personal responsibility and transform your life. Thank you for listening.